Not all elections are the same value. Um, this one, I know everybody says it every time, but it's just not true. 2020 was not as valuable as this one is in 2024. 2016 was more valuable than 2012. 2008 was more valuable than 2000 or than 2004. Okay, 1980 was way more valuable than 1984. Okay, you see where I'm going with that. This one's for all the marbles. This one's for all the marbles. Um, I love politics, always have, probably always will. And there's so many moving variables right now. Number one is we have a sitting president who's not running. We have a former president who is running for re-election. And we have a vice president who effectively successfully, staged a coup d'etat to get her place at the table. And this is really the rub. She doesn't really stand for anything, though. And that's my problem. We can disagree on politics all day long, okay? The country's split, 52-48, right? The country's pretty much 50-50. And we can disagree on policy, we can disagree on pro-choice, pro-life, immigration, economic policies, whatever. But the fact that the major candidate, the presidential candidate for one of the parties is unwilling to articulate any meaningful substance or even sit down and answer questions for more than 20 minutes with non-friendly reporters about what she believes is alarming, is very alarming. The only things that anybody can really hang their hat on for Kamala Harris is that Trump bad. That's all she says is Trump bad. No matter what, she's handed a Wendy's cheeseburger. Well, Trump's bad. And reproductive rights, abortion rights. Those are the only two things that people can point to that she believes in. Well, she's better than Trump. That's not good enough. Clearly, it's not good enough. We tried that back, not we, the left, the Democrats tried that back in 2016 with Hillary. It doesn't work. We didn't elect Hillary in 2016. And we're about to take a pass on Kamala. I think Trump's going to win next week. We're about to take a pass on Kamala because she's offered no palpable change whatsoever. Just the same old crap that's been going on the last 4 years and really 12 of the last 16, going back to Obama's 2 terms. You may not agree with Donald Trump, but he offers policy changes. Regardless of how many of Trump's policies you support and protest, you have to admit the man brings meat and potatoes to the table, while Hillary and now Kamala are all sugar and no protein. There's nothing there to grasp and fight for. I think Dr. Ben Carson hit the nail on the head, and he said it exactly correct, that we're living in an experiment, much like lab rats. They're checking to see, the deep state's checking on the left. They're checking and doing a stress test to see if they have such a chokehold on American society today that they can install whomever, whenever. If Trump loses, there will literally be nobody left standing in their way to fight back. Here's the problem, though, that the left doesn't want to admit, and I think this will be studied for the next 100 years in political history. The leadership of the Democratic Party forgot the most important part of executing a successful overthrow of power. They forgot to unalive the king. Twice. Biden's still president. Trump is still kicking hard. They forgot to take out, if you're going to successfully stage a coup d'etat, you have to take out the leadership and install yourself. And Kamala either didn't have the stomach for it, didn't have the control to implement it, or didn't want to. Regardless of the fact, she's now dealing with the ramifications of that decision. If you're going to stage a coup, go all the way. They used a half measure when they should have used a full measure. Joe Biden being left as president has proven costly. The recent garbage comment alone was a gaffe of epic proportions and probably sealed the deal for Trump on Tuesday. I believe that. But the fact that a sitting president in supposedly a model economy, even though the job report came out today that they adjusted it down to 12,000 jobs, pathetic numbers, that a sitting president, supposedly a model economy, has been shoved into a closet and asked not to come out until we give permission is something that ought not be a noose around Kamala's neck. She should have dealt with this a while back, but she didn't. But because the left assumes that they can install whichever puppet that they seem fit, here we are. Now we come to Donald Trump. Rise from the ashes, rise to glory like a Greek god laid low, self-proclaimed. Here we are. And say what you want about Donald Trump, and Lord knows there's plenty. I've been honest about that. But the staying power of this man to take a punch and another punch and another punch and keep coming back for more has been nothing short of astounding and remarkable. They challenged this 2016 election. They used false pretenses to investigate and derail his presidency. They impeached him twice. They stole his re-election. Yes, they did. We all know they did that. They weaponized the Justice Department to raid his home with the FBI. They indicted him. They convicted him of felonies. Then they tried to bankrupt him. They tried to remove his name from the ballots, and then they tried to kill him. Twice. He represents to us on the right the vengeance that we seek. Donald Trump is a contracted mercenary to deal with the power-hungry demagogues who we so desperately wish to rid ourselves of. The left, the media, the government, the deep state, pick whatever noun you prefer, have taken it upon themselves in the past decade to purge our country of its identity and to install its own brand of justice, societal reform, and economics. We on the right have no interest in that path, and Trump is nothing more than a mutually beneficial tool to prevent that future from coming to pass. The left is responsible for this result. They've decided that any other opinion, any other way of looking at the world other than theirs is unacceptable. If you're on the right, you're a freak, you're stupid, you're evil, you're racist, you're sexist. Hillary called us a basket of deplorables. Kamala called us NAZIs, and Biden called us garbage. I don't understand how they think we're going to vote when people talk to us like that. When has anybody ever been persuaded by being labeled and insulted? The party of love and acceptance only loves and accepts those who bend the knee to their radical points of view. So now if you're on the right or even against the prevailing opinion, you're attacked for even raising your views. We have unequivocally nominated Donald Trump 3 straight times to deal with these people for us. So instead of protesting or taking another Capitol building, we just wait till we're in the voting booth. And thankfully in the voting booth, there's no blame, there's no shame, and we can all finally say what we truly think. And that's a powerful thing. Finally, in recent weeks, after 9+ years of being in the limelight, Donald Trump being a supporter of Donald Trump has become somewhat culturally accepted, especially on the right. All those polls that you see are worthless. They're worthless. He outperforms them every time, has the previous 2 elections, and he will again this time. We've not been permitted to admit what we think. They will not allow us to. The left has made it to where we on the right cannot even articulate our position for fear of being ostracized. Even if that opinion is as simple as stating that tens of millions of people just walking across our southern border illegally probably isn't cool. Something as simple as that to something as personal and complex as saying that we don't want to have to get an unproven vaccine injected into our bodies to keep our jobs. It doesn't really matter what the opinion is. We're told to sit down and shut up. Set policy and administration accomplishments, failures, debate topics, set all that off to the side. And there's plenty to talk about there with Afghanistan, withdrawal, inflation, immigration, the Israeli conflict, Ukraine, abortion, cost of living, housing costs, and healthcare. None of it matters because even if our hands go up in the classroom to discuss those topics, the media immediately chastises us. We're instantly brought back to being asked how horrible Trump is and why January 6th was worse than 9/11 and Pearl Harbor combined, and if a peaceful transfer of power will be accepted. And they wonder why Trump is about to win his 2nd and 3rd term. America has 2 paths, both clear as day. One is to follow the current paths we're on. One is to turn and go in a completely opposite direction than what we've been on for the past 12 of 16 years. I don't know which way America will pick. I think it's going to be Trump, but I know which way that we can't go. We cannot go the way that we have been for much longer. And our children will never forgive us if we do. Go vote.